Pokemon Day has been confirmed for the 27th of February, and here's what you need to know and what we might see. First off, this event will be at 2 PM UTC, so convert that into your own time zone and mark it in your calendar. Now, I'll quickly skim over a few of the side games, mobile games, TV, etc. before we go on to the big reveals at the end, just the same way the presents will be sort of formatted as well. So first, there'll be touches on things like Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Masters EX, where we might have new Pokemon added and some sort of global events that'll take place. And then there's Pokemon Go, where we'll have new raids added, possibly, for new Pokemon, new legendaries. A new season will be introduced, as the Timeless Travels event will have ended on the 1st of March. We have the possibility of maybe even a new Pokemon like Meltan and Melmetal were introduced in the past. Possibly even new Pokemon added from Gen 9 as well. So maybe like an overall global challenge would be interesting though, I think. Also, I've heard rumours of Captain Pikachu being added to the game, which will tie into the anime, so those are the sorts of things you can expect there. As far as anime and movies are concerned, possibly we'll have some sort of mention there. The Horizon series will be coming to the US in March, so possibly expect some sort of announcement there, if it's coming to Netflix, for example, and maybe even we'll have a new movie announced as well, which would be interesting. Other things like Pokemon World Championship, TCG announcements, things like that will be going on, as the championships will be held in Hawaii this year, so I'd imagine they'd shine a spotlight on that. As far as Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are concerned, we can expect either legendary raids or more 7-star raids, all up in the air, but all possibilities of what we can expect. Now, as with all presents, the big reveals are always at the very end. Can we expect 1 or 2 games? Possibly. The worst case scenario would be that nothing new is coming, and it's simply anime heavy or mobile game heavy, all things like that. There is a possibility of that. However, I do think that there's tie-ins to anniversaries of Gold and Silver, and also breadcrumbs from the current Gen 9 games, which would maybe suggest we're getting stuff to do with Black and White as well. So the kind of things that I think are on the table are Gold and Silver versions of some sort, Black and White 2 versions of some sorts, and even a mystery dungeon game as well. All of which totally possible, but highly speculative as well. I feel like the games need to feature some of the following sort of themes as well. So if you look at Scarlet and Violet, we have terrestrialization from there. How would that fit into another Gold and Silver or Black and White game? We have the Paradox feature, where we have all the Paradox Pokemon. Do they tell us anything? Would they fit into a Black and White version, for example? We have Pokemon Fusions, which was first debuted in Black and White. How would that tie in? We have time travel from Celebi as well. We have past and future versions in Scarlet and Violet, so would that give Celebi the opportunity to maybe bounce from both past and future? Possibly. And also the Synchro Machine. Does that tie into possibly a mystery dungeon game? Well, let's talk about it. So first off, terrestrialization from Scarlet and Violet. Would that be possible in, let's say, the Johto region? Possibly. It was available in the Kitakami, for example. So why not available in the Johto region? Not entirely sure how it would work exactly, but worth considering. Then let's move on to Paradox. I think that's the biggest sort of clues to what to expect, but there are some sort of flaws with the logic as well. So if you look at all the Paradox Pokemon, we've got Iron Tusks, which is a Paradox of Donphan from Gen 2. We've got Fluttermane, which is a Paradox of Misdreavus, again from Gen 2. We have Screamtail, which is a Paradox of Jigglypuff, but we could say that its baby form Igglybuff was introduced in Gen 2, so there's your connection there to Gen 2 again. There's Sandy Shocks, which is a Paradox of Magneton. This one's a little bit looser again, but the Steel type was introduced in Gen 2, so maybe that's the sort of connection to Gen 2 there. We have Slitherwing, which is a Paradox of Volcarona, which is a Gen 5 Pokemon as well. We've got Brute Bonnet, which is a Paradox of Amoonguss, which is from Generation 5 as well. And then if we go to the future versions from the Violet game, we have Iron Treads, which is a future Paradox of Donphan. We have Iron Jugulus, which is a future Paradox of Hydreigon from Generation 5. We have Iron Thorns and Iron Bundle, which are future paradoxes of Tyranitar and Delibird from Generation 2. And we also have, again, a Paradox of Volcarona in the future, which is Iron Moth from Generation 5. Now, there are outliers here that I can't really make the connection on, which are Iron Hands, Iron Valiant, and Roaring Moon. They're the only things that put this into a bit of doubt, so I can't really make the connection, but if you've got any ideas of how to connect these to either Gen 5 or Gen 2, let me know in the comments. There's an interesting part here with Paradox as well, where Donphan and Volcarona, from Generation 2 and Generation 5 respectively, have 2 Paradox forms in both the past and the future. Just worth thinking about and considering as to what could possibly be coming for us. There's also the fact that the legendary beasts, Raikou, Entei and Suicune, which now have Paradox forms in Raging Bolt, Walking Wake and Gouging Fire, all of which are from Gen 2, and the future versions of the Swords of Justice in Cobalion, Terrakion and Virizion, being Iron Crown, Iron Boulder and Iron Leaves, all of which are from Gen 5. This seems to be the sort of biggest pointers towards the fact that it will be either Generation 2 or Generation 5 that are on the cards next for a big game announcement, but who knows really. If we talk about Fusion quickly as well, Fusion was introduced in Black and White through Kiram being able to fuse with Zekrom or Reshiram. The only sort of connection I can see to Generation 9 for this is in Heath's drawings from the Scarlet and Violet books. You can see that an artist has, from imagination, drawn a fused version of the legendary beasts from the Scarlet book and drawn a fusion of the Swords of Justice in the Violet version. So would that suggest that there could be fusion in these upcoming games? Possibly. It's really hard to tell right now if it will be Generation 2 or Generation 5, or possibly even both. We're just going to have to wait and see. Like I say, time travel is possible with Celebi. So let's say, for example, there could be like a Legends Celebi game. Because Paradox is very based off of past and future, maybe Celebi can jump in between and there would be a new game where it would require you to jump from different times in past and future and present maybe, all of which I feel are kind of on the table. Think of games like the Zelda game Oracle of Ages, for example. It's been done by Nintendo before, so maybe Pokemon throws us a curveball and does something like that. The last sort of gimmick to consider is the Synchro Machine itself. This was introduced in the Blueberry Academy in the Scarlet and Violet DLC for the Indigo Disc. They don't sort of usually put in these features without them having an overall purpose going forward. It feels like right now the Synchro Machine is a sort of tech demo for what to expect in the future, and it'll be sort of introduced in some way. However, it's very mystery dungeon-like as well in a sense. So could it possibly be that there'll be a mystery dungeon game based off the mechanics of the Synchro Machine? Just worth considering as well. The last sort of points of speculation as well are on Pokemon Day, it's reported that the Empire State Building will be lit up in the Pokemon Day colours. This building is part of New York, and Unova is based off of New York as well, so there's a connection to Unova there as well, which could possibly mean something to do with Gen 5 as well. We'll need to wait and see. And one last thing is, if there were to be a new movie introduced, maybe they introduced a new mythical as well. It seems like with the prologue of Scarlet and Violet that we have the full Pokedex for Scarlet and Violet, but who knows, maybe there's a tie-in to a Pokemon Go event where they introduce it in Pokemon Go like they did with Meltan and Melmetal, that's then featured in the movie and becomes a mythical for downloadable content in Scarlet and Violet. We'll just have to wait and see really. And that's about all I can sort of think of at the moment for what we can expect for Pokemon Day. Let me know what you think will happen, and if you have any thoughts or theories as to what we can expect next Tuesday on the 27th. Make sure to like and subscribe the video for more content like this, and see you next time.